Joining me now for reaction is Tom Homan, the former acting director of ICE. Mr. Homan, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. I got to tell you, when I'm seeing what's going on in Portland, Oregon, and beautiful Portland, they have a history of a lot of political activism. That's fine. This is not your ordinary political activism. What's happening there that the American people are not seeing because the media will not adequately cover this story?
What isn't happening, during the time I saw your clips earlier, and Chris Crane was right, the mayor has refused to take action on those folks that have illegally prevented us from doing our jobs by shutting our building down for over a week. How many child molesters, predators, traffickers weren't arrested that week? How many criminal aliens entered this country illegally and committed yet another crime, weren't arrested that week? A lot of criminals are now walking the streets of Portland that would have been arrested that week. So the mayor turned his back on the citizens of Portland for his own political ambitions.
Now, Chris Crane was talking about the Antifa infiltration, or some would say takeover, of this protest. Are the run-of-the-mill kind of millennial protesters with the magic marker signs and the black mask people kind of working hand in glove there, from what you're gathering?
Yeah, I watched video of the Portland office showdown for several days, and Antifa was there. Matter of fact, they hung their Antifa flag up where the United States flag
Wait, well, they took down the U.S. flag, they climbed the building, they took down the U.S. flag, and they replaced it with an Antifa flag?
Yes, ma'am. And the Patriots at ICE, when they took the building back, first thing they did is raise the American flag back up.
You know what? The only thing I can think of is like that is when ISIS was rolling through parts of Iraq, and they were going into those Christian villages in Mosul and so forth. They were knocking down those churches, taking off the crosses, and raising the ISIS flag. I mean, it's a form of domestic terror.
It's pathetic what's going on in Portland. I don't know who's worse, that mayor or the mayor in Oakland or Philadelphia or New York. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them right now who have never accepted this president, and they're going to put their own political ambitions ahead of the public safety of their citizens. And I want to remind the Portland mayor, I'm sure he's going to hear about this, these ICE employees are also taxpayers and citizens of the city of Portland. He has a duty to protect them when they call the police.
Zephyr Teachout, interesting name, a Democratic candidate for New York Attorney General, calls to abolish ICE and said it this way. Let's watch.
ICE has to be abolished. And as Attorney General, I will continue to speak out against ICE. I will prosecute ICE for their criminal acts. We have stories of consistent abuse within ICE. The idea that we could call this law enforcement is a real offense to the idea of law itself.
A real offense. I think she's mixing up her, I think she means offense, but that's okay.
Well, I've never seen that video, but now I'm more irritated than I was when I walked in here and knowing what we're going to cover. That Attorney General candidate, I hope that's as far as she gets. Look, prosecute ICE agents. ICE officers and agents have taken more than 5,000 criminal aliens off the streets of New York that walked out of their sanctuary jails. ICE has done more for public safety in that state than their own governor has. ICE officers on the northern border have shut down opioid trade and
But they say, Tom, that the reason they're upset is because you're separating families, you're focused on deporting these families when you should be focused on the illegal immigrants. So they're conflating Border Patrol, of course, HHS, the detainment centers, and ICE. They're putting them all in one big pot. So they're saying, well, you could do a better job if you weren't focusing on these poor children.
Let me tell you something about the whole separating families. I watched the hearing yesterday, and I was quite disturbed by some of the questions from the Democrats. They kept wanting to put the blame on Border Patrol, HSS, ICE. They had a solid process for these families, because we've been separating families for decades, first of all. This isn't new to this administration. Decades. But if they want to blame somebody, Congress needs to look in the mirror. Because I've been up on the Hill several times along with the head of CBP and CIS talking about the loopholes of the Florida Settlement Agreement. If they want these folks to see a judge and claim asylum, we do too. There's one way you can guarantee they see a judge is keep them in a family residential center. But they don't want to do that. So they refuse to fix the loopholes. So the Attorney General did what he had to do operationally to defend our border. The Attorney General did exactly what he should have done.
Zero tolerance is the way to go. He was right. We have a runaway judge situation in this country who are acting as super legislators.
Judge of San Diego, He ordered during the 2,500 unification, stop doing the DNA testing. When we did the DNA testing for the children under 5 to 7% weren't the parents. So if you extrapolate that to 2,500 people, how many children do we have to release to people that weren't their parents because that judge decided DNA wasn't important?
Wow. And the 20% of the kids were not brought across by their own parents.
2,500 children separated. There's 10,000 children in custody HHS that were separated by their parents who hired a criminal organization to put their kid in the trunk of a car and smuggle them to the United States.
Who are these parents?
That is child abuse.
Who are these parents who send their kids across the border alone? I'm sorry, but what kind of what kind of parent does that?
I watched clips earlier claiming the administration of child abuse. The child abuse is hiring a criminal organization to put your kid in the trunk of a car and smuggle them to the United States.
Tom Homan, hey, great to see you.
Appreciate you.
Miss you over there at Homeland. Thanks so much.
I'm in the fight.
All right.